I'm very enthusiastic about a table I bought yesterday. It arrived at the shop. I saw it and I knew that that was exactly what I needed. For a few months now, my brother has been sitting in the corner that I like to read in and using my grandmother's, the dead one's, suitcase as a table for his mug. And this has been upsetting my dad no end. So, saw this table. It's drop leaf. It's very small. When it's closed up, it can slide down beside the settee. I also built coasters because I didn't get the wood getting ruined. It is incredibly dainty, but it fulfills this aesthetic in my mind where you can have a cup of tea on there and you can just fit one book on there, and it makes it feel like a reading corner there when I get to sit there. And I did get to sit there this morning because I was finishing reading Joanne Harris's A Narrow Door. This is the fourth book in the Mulberry series. The first being Gentlemen and Players, then you have Different Class, and Blue-Eyed Boy fits in there somewhere. However, I don't believe that he has the same narrator as these three books. In A Narrow Door, we see the character of Rebecca Buckfast becoming the first female headmistress of the St. Oswald's School that we've seen in the other two books. Then, some remains are discovered, and we are going to get Miss Buckfast's history with the school and the narrator's history in conversation with one another. Previously, we've seen this done with most of the Gentlemen and Players books, the St. Oswald's books. There's this conversation going on between two characters, but it's been that long since I read Gentlemen and Players that I'd forgotten about it. However, it was used to great effect in Peaches for Monsieur le Curé and in subsequent books by Joanne Harris, a very much ask and response style tale going on. There is a darkness to this book. It's fantastic, and it deals a lot with memory, false memory, and grief, and the way that a parental grief can affect a child, and trauma, and yeah. It also deals a lot with the way that men perceive women and how the headmistress, Miss Buckfast, has used that to her advantage throughout her life. It's thrilling and psychological and dark, and after reading it, I do want to go back and reread Gentlemen and Players because it has been a decade, if not more, since I read this, because I think I started reading Joanne Harris in 2007. Then whenever I was at the charity shop, I would just grab books off the shelf as they came in. And then since I've unhauled a lot of Joanne Harris books when I need to make, well, for reasons anyway. Basically, I used to borrow them and I had to return all the ones I borrowed, and so... Anyway, I want to go back and read this, and I want to go back and read Different Class because I believe that should I do so, it's going to give me more of a kinship with the narrator of these books. I'd like to get a Blue-Eyed Boy at some point. I can tell you why I never read Blue-Eyed Boy, and that is because of the cover. The cover of that book terrified me so much that I could not bear to pick it up. There was just something about the young boy that they had on the original cover that just caused me to avoid going anywhere near it. As we know, Joanne Harris is my favourite writer writing today. There were moments, I will admit, in this book where I was thinking that this wasn't her best work, but then I realised it's not that this isn't her best work, it's that I've reached the point of reading Joanne Harris where I've yet to be disappointed by a book. So whenever it reaches a point, I'm there kind of comparing what it did with another book. And I don't think that you can compare the Mulberry books to the Vian and Rocher books or the alternative folk tales. Very much Joanne Harris and Joanne Harris's take on what a thriller would be, but at the same time it's completely different to the stuff that she also writes. And apart from my table and A Narrow Door really making me happy this week. On Sunday night, I was at my computer and I was making plans to come off the computer and read some of that book when I discovered that one of my favourite Italian singers, Emma Marone, who was a judge on the X Factor Italy last year, also represented Italy in Eurovision at some point and is just fantastic, had released a best of album where she has re-recorded and redone with different melodies and all that some of her hits. And so, you know, I've mentioned L'amore non mi basta before, and I've mentioned Mi parli piano, and they are still excellent songs, and I enjoy the songs on this album. But I ended up listening to the entire thing, and it was just so thrilling and fantastic, and I wanted to go to Twitter straight away or some social media and just share it with everyone, and I couldn't, because nobody I know speaks Italian, and I didn't think that they would care to have a ton of Italian songs recommended to them, which was very upsetting indeed. So now I can just tell people that it exists and they can make their own minds up. One track that I would recommend definitely is Meravigliosa, which translates to wonderful, I believe, and can be a bit saucy at times. And then Cercavo Amore, but quite honestly, it's just fantastic. And I am no music critic, but I like these songs and I like this singer, and to discover these songs existed or re-existed was, well, it was quite a great way to end my Sunday night, really. It wouldn't be me at work if I didn't end up acquiring more books. And I got into work last Friday, which was the first time I'd been in 10 days because I'd taken some time off to discover 2 Elizabeth Strouts on the shelf. So we have The Burgess Boys and Anything Is Possible. And I don't know why I did it like that, because there's every chance that I'm not going to want to edit that. I read Elizabeth Strout last year for the BookTube Prize with Olive Kitteridge and Olive Again. And this one I probably won't be reading yet. Anything Is Possible. Or will I? I can't tell, because it mentions Lucy Barton on the back, but I haven't read My Name Is Lucy Barton. But then inside, it's got loads of different titles. So is this a short story collection? No, it's not. So I think I'll have to wait and read My Name Is Lucy Barton, but I've got that in any case. And the Burgess boys, Jim and Bob Burgess, have escaped their hometown for New York City because they're haunted by a freak accident that killed their father. Oh. But now they've had to go back because of something that's happened with their nephew, and it's going to be tense. I don't know. It's worth a punt, isn't it? I'll give it a go. I'll have a read. If I DNF it, you'll never hear of it. And if I like it, I'll probably talk about it. And if I don't read it, don't like it, I'll talk about that too. Did you know? Last month I said I'd read and review a book. Still not done it. And I got sent that book for free to review. Luckily, there was no specification of when I had to have it read by. Similarly, I have been sent another one this week for review. On a Distant Ridgeline by Sam Rees. This is a collection of short stories that I don't even know whether I'm supposed to talk about yet, but it's coming out at some point, and I've said I'll read it and review it. Writing. I wrote 3 pages. Big focus on reading this week. Apart from these, I read The Finishing School by Muriel Spark, which is short, sweet, and has some questionable ideas about homosexuality, but I'll leave it up to other people to decide what they think about that one. And then we have the Karamazov Brothers, which I'm still buddy reading with Emily of Novell Novels. And oh my Christ, but I don't find any want to pick this book up. In the beginning, with the brothers Karamazov, the Karamazov brothers, Dostoevsky, Ignat Absi, I enjoyed the stories within stories and the corruption within this family, the way that they've been separated, the discussions of the familial bonds between them. I liked all that. And I didn't so much mind the discussions about religion and going into the, the philosophy and going into the minds of religious people, discussing sin and sinners and all that stuff. However, after it's happened for about the 100,000th time, and I'm not getting any further along with this line of thinking, it feels like padding. It feels like it's been bulked out by all these discussions that are the same discussion happening over and over again. And I don't mind a bit of introspection or these characters having existential crises, but for me it's growing a bit tiresome. And we'll see, we've only got a month left of this one. We've got a month left, 100 pages a week, we can do it, we can get through this one. But then I will probably be saying Strout to the Russians for a bit, which is a shame because I'd planned to read Anna Karenina this year, reread, different translation than the one I read previously. But just other things got in the way, as they did with most of the things that I wanted to read. Sorry, I just remembered I did start this by talking about writing. I have written a climactic scene to this chapter. And now that I know how to rearrange the first part of this book, I'm feeling a lot more confident going forward. Also, my mother read my latest chapter, didn't laugh once, which is not good considering I'm supposed to be writing comedy over here. But she did say to me she didn't laugh because she was more concerned about a revelation and a mystery that arose within this chapter. I just thought, well, that's all well and good, but I did put jokes in there. Returning to work was a strange one because usually I work with my manager on a Friday and a Saturday, but she's booked some time off, so it was me and another volunteer, well, 2 volunteers. I'd forgotten that we still need to limit donations because when I was last in, nobody was really donating stuff. And so I was taking everything I was given until the point that someone pointed out, you're working on your own today, so you're going to have to stop. So now we've got a backlog of donations, which I still can't decide whether it is a good or a bad thing. I don't believe that we've had any more mean customers, but, and this is a big but, they are still being quietly offensive. Only noticed because I was putting something out in the shop yesterday and heard someone comment about the rules we've got. And on the one hand, I think, well, at least you're following the rules. And on the other hand, I think, could you not have saved that comment until, you're at home or you're in the car, or you at least weren't within distance of someone who works here? But then, she wants shouting in my face about it. I also watched Nosferatu this weekend. The silent film. What had happened was, last week I returned to the library, took out more books, which was probably a mistake, and I got Joe Hill's first book, Heart-Shaped Box. A few years ago, I read Nosferatu, or Nosferatu, whatever it's called in America. I knew that they'd made a TV series of it, so I went in search of that, couldn't find it. In looking for a trailer on YouTube, discovered that the silent film was on there. So I watched it. And again, this was something that I enjoyed. I didn't find it horrifying, but I can imagine why 100 years ago, people who saw this film and saw this fearsome figure of Nosferatu and the way he moved and the way that they talked about him. Also the soundtrack, that was thrilling in itself. The music behind all of this is just reason to listen to it alone. Although I suppose maybe if you're a classical music fan, then, you know, if you're just going in for expecting Madonna to be there singing along, you've got a problem. Expecting a bit of Ed Sheeran just to pipe up as they get towards the climax, appear over the credits. Ain't gonna happen. But if you don't mind classical music, it's gonna be okay. And I did enjoy this one. It also got me questioning, again, as Dracula did when I read Dracula, whether there is not some sort of subtext. Because when I read Dracula, I couldn't help but thinking that there might be something going on between Dracula and Jonathan Harker. Well, for the first 40 pages at least. You know, some sort of fatal attraction type thing. Same sort of thing happened here, where I saw Nosferatu, and I saw whoever this man was. I couldn't really read the writing that well. And I thought, there could be something there. Why'd you forget selling an abandoned property? Just stay here with him. Turn it into a romantic comedy. That sort of thing. But it was also in terms of supernatural figures from the past and what subtext they might have, you know, alluded to back in the day. You know, vampires. Well, I don't know. I suppose the myth's been going back generations, but I just mean in terms of literature and the writing of it. There are a few essays online about it if you wanted to go and look. One thing I've not been too happy about recently, and it's, you know, way to end the video, go out on a high, isn't it? Been talking about all the things that made me happy this week, which is it's different for a Woolgathering video, really, isn't it? Because usually I'm over here expounding on all the grumpy things that have happened in my life, and trust me, there are still some things that have annoyed me. This cup of tea's too milky for one thing, and I've got no one to blame for myself about that. I took a 45-minute bath an hour ago, simply because someone was going to throw a Lush bath bomb out at work, and I wasn't prepared to let them do that because of how expensive those things are. But there was also no way, because of the bits that would fall off it, that I could like break it up and separate it. So I used the entire thing, knowing what price it would be, and I let that bath go cold because I refused not to get my money's worth out of it. I did not pay the same amount as what that bath bomb would have cost, because I was saving it from a bin as well, is one thing. But there was still something in the back of my mind saying, you know, this is a very expensive bath you're taking. And also, I was a bit upset because it has no bubbles. So, you know, for me, I'm much more suited to a bit of Radox. Radox, that blue sea salt one, or whatever it is, you know the one. When you're old and infirm like me, for your muscles, muscle relief or whatever it's called. That one's all right, that is. But it's to do with YouTube. Well, firstly, subscribers. Sorry, I need to sneeze now. Firstly, this one I think I can attribute blame to anyone else but myself, and that is the loss of subscribers. We were at 850 one day, and we've been stagnating around here for a while now. People have been kind, they've recommended my channel to people, but unfortunately, I'm just too much of a grouchy northerner. However, we've lost more now. I've lost 6 in the last week. I lost 10 one day last month. And people come to me and they say, it's bots, you know, like, it's not. I'm aware that I'm not to everybody's liking, and I'm okay with that. But now we're back under 840, and to me, well, that just makes me sad indeed. But then, on top of all this, I chose on Sunday to respond to every single comment that I'd had. And I'd posted that vlog, and I responded to everybody. And in the evening, YouTube had deleted all my comments. And I'd only been aware of this because Sarah of Hardcover Hearts had posted a catch-up. And I was really thrilled by this catch-up because I haven't seen Sarah on here in a while. And there were so many books I was interested in. She's talking about learning Italian. She was talking about coming over to Europe, and you know, there's many places in Europe I wanted to visit as well. It was a thrilling video, and I wanted to let Sarah know this. YouTube deleted my really long comment, and I couldn't remember it. Well, they deleted all the comments on this video, so I put them all back on, went back on in the morning, deleted them all again, and I just can't win, you know. I'm wary. I'm wary of commenting on anybody's videos now because YouTube keeps deleting mine. And I think one time I could understand what it was, because I was recommending Jason of Jason's Weird Reads go and search for some TV show on another viewing platform. I thought, well, there you go. I'm telling someone to go and watch the competition. That's fine. But when I'm just commenting innocently, I think, well, and they're getting deleted, it's a bit of a, I won't say it's a kick in the teeth, because my teeth have currently got metal in to hold them in place, but it's something else that kind of pokes at the little bit of soul I have left. Either way, if I comment on your video and it disappears, know that it's not me. Know that it's not my fault. And if you want me to message you elsewhere and we can talk about what you're talking about, that's perfectly fine as well. Get in touch. Usually leave links below. Maybe, sometimes, maybe not. Anyway, finished me brew now. Expounded about nothing for nearly half an hour, so I've got to go and edit something within this video. But yeah, what you're reading, what you're writing, what you're watching, what are you listening to? Do let me know if you go and listen to the Emma Morone album. Even if you don't understand Italian, I think you can understand music, whether it's good or not. So, I hope that you got something out of this video, even if it was sheer boredom. Even if you were using it as a torture device. And until next time, that is all.